Critics can't stop talking about Blade Runner 2049. It's very long, almost 3 hours, 2 minutes more than Avatar. But I can only make something. A movie shouldn't be longer than 9 minutes. Come see the #1 movie in America.
You bothered the war.
Blade Runner 2049 in theaters.
Oh, that is really long. This one.
Oh, hello, you beautiful people. Welcome to Cordkillers, our mission to report the intel from the front lines of the cord-cutting revolution so you can watch the stuff you love when you want, where you want, on whatever damn device you please. I'm Brian Brushwood. I was going to say Justin, but you're Bryce. Bryce, what did we see here at the opening here?
This was a really funny trailer cut from Demi Adejigbe, I believe I'm saying that right, Electro Lemon on Twitter. He recut the Blade Runner trailer, but made it all about how long the movie is, and so you didn't get to see the great titles on screen like #1 movie in the country by length. It's really fantastic.
Yeah, well, and the brilliant part is like it's all high quality motion graphics that are positional. So it's like, you know, objects in the foreground are occluding it in the background. It looks like a top-notch production job. But then he plays it on a television and records it on an iPhone as if it was just a random ad that popped up, which I think added to everything. Awesome. Also joining us live here in studio is One Michael Television. Hello, MikeTV.
Hey,
how are you?
Doing? Good to see you. Good to see you.
Thank you so much for being a surrogate Tom.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I will try to let my Anglophile powers fly.
Yeah, you just want to talk about how great it is in London all the time. Yeah. For those of you guys who don't know, Tom Merritt is out on I'm going to say on assignment because I've always wanted to say that about a co-host. He's out on assignment in jolly old London, which means we are free to talk about the primary target. Netflix raised prices on 2 of its 3 plans by a shocking $1 a month. The basic single-screen plan stays at $7.99. The 2-screen standard plan goes from $9.99 to $10.99, and the 4-screen 4K premium plan goes from $11.99 to $13.99. New customers get the new prices now. Existing customers will be informed by Netflix soon and see it on their bill in November. Can I say, can I give a hot take that probably nobody will love? All of these are still insanely low prices.
Oh, yeah.
They could double all of their prices, and I will be beholden to Netflix.
Yeah, that's. I mean, considering how, because I actually switched to nothing but Netflix 7 or 8 years ago.
Nothing but Netflix.
Nothing
that
but
should be their
Netflix.
new tagline to get a bunch of NBA stars. Nothing but Netflix.
Swish.
Swish. It's a scam dunk. Sorry, go ahead. You're nothing but Netflix.
Yeah, but that was like, I mean, I probably made that transition like, what, maybe 2010, you know, and so maybe even like, so the thing is it yeah, like, and I've never looked back, you know, and they always have, like, back when they had just selections of shows and stuff, it was fine, but like they've been doing such high quality shows, and there's so many of them, it's crazy. Like for me, I feel like I'm like, have I been stealing from these guys, you know? So
well, and for me, here's one of the strangest things. If you told me that a price increase of Netflix was going to cause me to upgrade my plan to the premium plan, I would have thought that was insane. Until just this moment, I was like, man, am I really? Because I don't feel the pain on my credit card of $11.99 or whatever or $9.99 instead of $10.99. I do feel the pain of logging into Netflix and being told, yeah, 2 of your kids on 2 different devices are watching Netflix now, so you need to get the back of the line or upgrade your plan. And it's like, weirdly, if I'm going to do anything to my plan, I might as well go ahead and up it. The 4K premium is only $13.99.
Yeah,
like,
that's crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Bryce, what about you? Are you going to cancel Netflix over this? Are you
No,
that price
I'm not.
sensitive?
$1 is fine. I thought it was funny. Someone in the Cordkillers subreddit posted the headline from another article, and it was like, Netflix raises prices by 10%. It's $1. It's $1.
So tell me this.
No, it's fine.
In my mind, I'm buying passage for an entire family to the magical land of nothing but Netflix.
Oh yeah.
But for you guys, you're just buying solo. Does that sting harder? Because in my mind, I'm like, that's only 20 cents more per family member.
Well, it's funny because I actually maintained my Netflix. While Katie and I were together, we were basically operating off of her Netflix and her Amazon account. But I maintained mine.
Are you still mooching?
Yeah. Well, no. I maintained. I still paid for mine, even though I never used it, just because I knew I may be on tour. I might be out. Like I might find myself waiting in the DMV, and I want to like what. So I was like, yeah, it's so affordable, and there's so much content. That I was like, I've never once felt that I was being bilked. But the thing is, like, but as they add, now I have HBO Go and I have Amazon Prime, and like as they start adding more services, I don't know if CBS will be something I'll be hopping on.
Are you doing the CBS?
No.
Yeah. You draw the line somewhere, Mister.
Well, I mean, like I think about Netflix prices, and I think, well, I'm paying $15 a month for HBO, and 6 months out of the year, I don't even open the HBO app.
Yeah.
So what I either have to say like $12 a month is fine for Netflix or whatever the new price is, or I have to give up HBO. And I think I know what one of those might be if push comes to shove.
I got to tell you, it's amazing to me how quickly I forget that I have HBO. HBO now is a delightful add-on, and I have to be thankful for, specifically, it's last week tonight with John Oliver. That is my go-to. Remember, like, oh, that's right. There's always something on HBO that I'll like, and it's like you very rarely have to scroll more than one or two to find something that likes it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, since Tom's not here to disagree with us, normally there's already heated debate. So
sure.
Hopefully somebody in the chat room will disagree. We're going to throw up a poll right now to ask whether or not the price hike is a big deal. So let's talk a bit about subscription fatigue.
Yeah.
Is there a magic number that you're okay with?
What?
Because in my mind, I'm always going to have Amazon Prime for the shipping.
Yeah.
So I'll always have all that,
yeah.
right? Hulu, I mean, I guess I still have it, but I keep forgetting to unsubscribe to it, even though none of us are really watching it right now.
That's not where you get your Rick and Morty, or do you just buy it?
No. Rick and Morty, I do PlayStation View.
Oh,
right?
okay.
And PlayStation View, I've been very, very happy with.
Cool.
So between PlayStation View and Netflix and Amazon, really outside of that, I have the same wariness that you described, where it's like I just don't want to subscribe to anything. So beyond that, weirdly, I will free myself up to just buy everything at $2.99 an episode, all on the Amazon stuff. What do you do to break out of that? What's your core, and what do you do when you expand beyond the core?
Well, my core is effectively, and it's funny because I can justify these expenses because they're tax write-offs, right?
They literally are. They literally are.
So
like, this is your job right now.
Yeah. That's exactly it. So I'm like, all right, this is great. But the thing is like, so I basically do, I've got Netflix, I've got Amazon Prime. And then Amazon Prime, when they started offering the HBO Go, and they also have like other packages like Stars and so. So every now and again I'll be like, oh, I want to see if this movie's out, and it is, but
it'll say
this
like
one service
it's free right now.
Yeah.
But I will say, in their defense, it's super easy to unsubscribe to all that stuff. You just go to my subscriptions, and you're like stop, and then we're good.
And I've done that a couple times.
Okay, without looking, we have a few votes. Don't look without looking. What percentage of the audience do you think is outraged about the price hike?
I'm gonna say. So I'm gonna assume that you guys have a pretty broad like international audience, right? Most of those are probably people in countries like Somalia,
probably,
Uzbekistan,
fallen states.
Yeah. We're like $30. We're like $30. The whole family makes $30 a week.
All of the emails say,
Allah
has put it in my heart to demand you stop doing your show.
So I'm gonna put it at about 70%. That's
Man, shockingly close. 57% right now. Up 60%. 60%.
Wow.
So the votes are still
now.
coming in, but
No,
it's pretty.
I guess.
I thought it would be more even I thought it would be taken better.
Bryce, you're poor.
Yes, I am. Okay, yeah.
Is this a sincere price inelasticity that people have? Is $1 that big a deal, or is it the principle of the thing? Is it they're fighting creep?
I think that there are plenty of people who are on the fence already about Netflix, and for whatever reason are just not finding things that they like. That might have been turned off when they got rid of Futurama, or when they lost Futurama or South Park or King of the Hill or whatever show that they watched a lot of, and then they no longer have. I think there are plenty of people who Netflix is a more single utility thing for them, and I think if I lost something really important and then Netflix said, hey, here's another dollar price hike, I'd be like, well, I'm definitely going to reconsider it. And I also think that didn't they do a price hike either a year or two ago? Like, these little $1.
I want to say it was like 5 or 6 years ago. It's been a while since we've had this issue, and I think my opinion was the same back then because it used to be what, $7.99 or $8?
Yeah.
For
in fact,
streaming.
I thought it was $7.99. I just don't pay attention. So I have a couple of these like things that are just kind of grandfathered in auto pay, and I don't think about those things in particular. Yeah. So
can we tell? By the way, we're up to 65%. Negative on the price hike.
Hey, right on. So there you go.
And this is not a scientific poll.
It's super scientific. It's 100% accurate. Bryce stakes his reputation on it. Okay, so tell me this. Truth time. Just us ladies in the room. Yeah. If they said for one user it was $14.99 starting tomorrow, would you full on quit or would you
with HD or not?
With HD with
10,
HD
1080p,
and we'll say even with 4K, it's like there's only one option. It's $15 a month.
So that's $180 a year, and that's like and so the thing is like so when I look at it like that, like I mean maybe it depends on what like. So right now there are shows on that are Netflix shows that I'm a big fan of, right?
Yeah.
So there's like obviously a lot of the Marvel stuff. I'm really loving Stranger Things, and Stranger Things is like the next season's coming out in just a few weeks. You know, so that
is that really right around the corner?
Yeah, I know. I can't. I know. I'm like,
great.
yes, I know. So the thing is like there's a lot of shows. So I'm a big fan of House of Cards. Like there's a lot of shows that they're putting. I know there are other shows
more on Netflix than on HBO.
I'm a fan of John Oliver. I'm a fan of Game of Thrones. I love The Wire. I will often go back and just rewatch The Wire in its entirety.
Yeah,
like I'll just binge that. So, but the thing is it like, but yeah, I don't. I mean, and then Westworld.
Westworld, of course. Yeah,
it's like, man, I don't know. I really. The thing is, if I had to choose one, right? If I had to like.
So, okay, Still at Work has a compromise in the chat. He says if they go 15 a month, he would cancel month to month in between good originals like HBO.
Oh, interesting. Well, and HBO is still week over week for their original shows, so I could even see the argument made in that scenario of like
just buy it for 1 month.
Yeah,
do $15 all you can eat.
This Game of Thrones season is done.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that used to be a huge pain in the butt, but now it's easier than ever. Especially shameless plug with services like privacy.com, where you could create those one-time burner cards. Privacy.com/rogue. Tom's not here to stop me.
But you would have an invalid card the next time they tried to re-up.
Correct. So there's no way for them to, because oftentimes I'll swap cards and then yet somehow I'll still get charged for stuff. Even though the card number has changed.
I think going back to the $15 a month for one stream, I don't know that I could do that. I know my parents are on my Netflix and they don't use it all the time, but I know that they do use it and they have profiles, and I don't. If the price would have to go up for a second stream beyond $15, $16, $17, I don't know that would be the right number for that. I think I would pay it. I think it would be worth it, but I also don't. I don't know. That's a little tougher.
Yeah. And also throwing into the equation, I have kids, so it could be $60 a month, and I would be powerless to stop them.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that for me, like, so because I am also a poor person. It's the
oh, I see y'all ganging up on me now. I see you started it.
I like the fact that, you know, like I buy basically one game a year, like, so like every night maybe I'll just splurge
like
a
full
expansion,
$60 game.
Yeah, and then so things like so really my entertainment budget is my watching, you know, so things like, so I can, you know, so I can go up to maybe 50 or 60, because that's, for my money, it's like what I used to get for cable, but I get the convenience of being able to watch whatever I want, whenever I want, you know, like, so and so I'm willing to go up to like the prices I used to pay for cable, you know, for all of my streaming services. So right around $50, $60 is my limit. You know?
There really is this kind of baseline where it's like, well, that's the comfort zone and that's the sandbox. As many toys as I could fit in the sandbox is what I'm comfortable doing, and then you run out of steam.
Any higher than that, and I would have to seriously consider what. Like right now, I'm juggling a lot of subscriptions between Netflix, HBO, Amazon, Verve, Hulu, no ads and stuff, and it's getting to the point where it's like I'm not even watching all of that stuff, and I'm gonna need to start thinking about what it is, what should be on the chopping block.
So in the chat, Midwest Cutter says, probably not popular, but I could dump Netflix for 9 months and still have just Amazon Prime, just subscribe in the winter, which is not a bad idea.
That's not crazy.
And Alex Cutadine says, if HBO didn't have John Oliver, I would just subscribe from time to time, which, by the way, if you want to jump off of that, when I'm not on HBO, keep in mind, last week tonight they put the they don't put Tekken, they don't put the whole, I'm using air quotes here, the whole episode on.
Oh yeah.
But 22 of the 26 minutes shows up as a segment in the in YouTube every single week. Because they figured out that that's an outstanding outreach way to grab new customers.
Yeah. In fact that's before I was getting HBO Go via Amazon. That's kind of where I do all my John Oliver viewing.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, if you guys want to view this show and continue to have it be in your face every single week, then you can support us by heading on over to patreon.com/Cordkillers.
That's right.
Keep in mind that just a few pieces of pocket change out of your monthly budget will mean the world to us. You will never, ever feel the pain of a $4 a month subscription, and yet you will know that you are changing our lives, allowing Bryce to be able to afford the ever-increasing tax put on us by Netflix.
And if you're a subscriber over at Patreon, you'll get early access to Spoiler in Time, our sister show where we talk about all sorts of shows and movies happening. Every week you get access to it early before anybody else, and you'll get early access for an RSS feed. So if you listen to that via RSS, that's how you can get that early. And if we hit 1850, how many more is that? 175?
Yeah, 176.
176. We will turn on the Spoiler in Time revitalization project corner.
Yeah,
hour.
this is an opportunity for us to actually organize, because keep in mind we've been doing this for a hot minute.
Right.
And in fact, if we go all the way back into the frame rate days. Oh God! Zoinks! Come on, Scoob, we got to get to the frame rates. If we go back far enough, there's a lot of you can experience all of these programs right alongside of us. So you can take the Wire Challenge and see what we thought as we did.
That's awesome.
And right now, all that stuff is baked into long medley episodes of all these various shows that were happening at a single point. This would cut them out into their own separate feeds, so you could pretty easily follow along at your own pace. So. If you're not already, check us out, patreon.com/Cordkillers.
Heck yeah. Meanwhile, let's check out how to watch. Google Fiber announced that for its upcoming launch in both Louisville and San Antonio, Texas, it will only offer the internet service with no TV package. Last year, Google announced that fiber will halt future deployments, making these two markets the last confirmed commitments to roll out the service. Which a couple of different things I want to hear. Number one, if you live in either of those markets, please write us with how you feel about this at cordkillers@gmail.com. More importantly, if you have Google Fiber TV service, please write us at cordkillers@gmail.com and let us know how much you like it. Because to me, and I don't want to lead the discussion here, but I'm gonna, reading that, I'm like, yeah, duh, of course. Yeah. Nobody wants any version of cable, anything remotely like cable, except for, I don't know, like even my parents have picked up the signal by now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They at least wanted some kind of lean back experience, but now they don't even do that. They have a Roku built into their television, so they do all the Netflix and stuff.
Yeah, my mom she still has cable, and she basically just trained on Fox and Fox and true crime stuff. So it's like so. But yeah, man. I mean, the thing is, I really do. The heartbreaking thing about this is that Google Fiber was such a great idea. They really kind of forced all the other major cable companies to start competing, or like start offering gigabit service. That was awesome. That was awesome. But the thing is, I have Google Fiber. It was a major decision in me determining where I was going to move next.
Oh, I was ready to move. I was actively looking at other houses because I found out that we are 6 miles outside of the Austin city limits, and so I was like, well, we're never going to get Google Fiber.
Yeah.
And then and ironically, as luck would have it, because this is a new neighborhood, AT&T preemptively started. They're like, "Hey, we got fiber. Who wants fiber?"
Yeah.
And then and I was the guys who installed it. I was literally the first time they had ever seen this equipment work. They went and plugged it in, and then we hit the button, and then we all high-fived each other when we saw the big numbers on there.
Yeah.
But I think you're right in that the star of the show is the bandwidth, not the service, not video on demand. Bryce, is Google Fiber available where you are?
Yeah, I have Google Fiber.
And did you get the TV thing?
I didn't get the TV because at the time I was moving, or I think I still had a Comcast, and I remember when I first moved here, I got Comcast TV because so I could watch Hacking the System. That was right. So I could watch Hacking the System week over week, and then I just kept it, and I was paying a lot of money for a little digital clock in my.
Okay, fine. I'll pay you back. I'll reimburse you. You're gonna be less poor.
So I had the option to get Google TV, and I'm really surprised that they are still offering it, and it makes me think that they're waiting for YouTube TV to roll out to more devices before they say, hey.
I think that's a big part of it. It doesn't make sense to be doing any kind of middle of the road. Google, their whole culture is they're big fans of stuff that scales, right? And it doesn't seem like scaling a middle of the road service like pretending to be a cable company would be sustainable in the long term.
But in the end, it may also not be a very big expense for them to have the TV stuff at the same time. On top of the Google Fiber network.
Oh, you mean like if they are already got the infrastructure,
down there, might as well.
But as we've talked about, though, oftentimes the big limiting factor is not so much the infrastructure or the equipment; it's the licensing deals. It's having to play that Hollywood game.
Well, and now as CBS has just recently demonstrated, the thing is all of these different organizations have this penchant to we're going to splinter off, and the thing is so you're going to be in the business of having to go and negotiate with CBS, and then you're going to have to go negotiate with NBC, Universal. You're going to and just at some point in time, you're like, this is a lot of a headache for something that already 2 or 3 providers provide in that.
And especially as we see the rollout of YouTube as an over-the-top cable service. It's like if you have a whole division already doing the work, doing it better, and that's something that scales, again, in that term, scales to anywhere who's eligible for the service.
Well, and we've got this Ars Technica piece about it, and people in Charlottesville are going to get a $20 increase in their price on TV plans next year. And customers will pay $30. Will have a $30 higher price for the additional TV service in Google Fiber.
I mean that seems fairly reasonable to me, though, right? Because you're getting a cable like
that's not the on top feed.
Sure. What I'm saying is the moment they launched Google Fiber, part of the reason they made waves half a decade ago was because they were undercutting the local cable markets by so much money. So if now they're at the phase where it's like, okay, let's start charging the same numbers that all the cable services provide, that does. Boy, man, when did I become an advocate for the monopoly man? It's like we need more oligopolies.
Yeah, I mean, but for me, I think it's sad that they're not. It's sad that people aren't going to be able to experience just Google's fiber, because it's been for me, having dealt with it for the past couple of years. It's been life changing.
Literally life changing.
Absolutely, and it's crazy. It used to take me 3 days to upload. I do all my streams, and it would shut down our internet for 3 days as I was uploading multiple gigs of stuff. And now it takes about 20 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes. Just crazy.
This is pure speculation on my part, but maybe it's skewed because we talk about a lot of this stuff on the Weird Things podcast. But I wonder how much of the hesitation to roll out fiber everywhere just has to do with man, once everything's cheap to get to orbit, how far away are we from 1,000 satellites constantly giving gigabit over the air to everybody at all times?
Well, that's why Verizon stopped doing Fios in certain states, because they want to wait until mobile internet is strong enough where they can just say, no, we're going to give you a mobile router in your home, and that's how you're going to start paying for it 5-10 years down the line. But why make that infrastructure now when they can just piggyback on the mobile data network?
That
kind of sucks, especially for people like us who are not just consuming a lot of stuff online, but making stuff online, uploading a lot of stuff. I think in the long term, that position will be weaker if we go into a more mobile network heavy paradigm.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
So, to the original point here, are you going to say, does this affect this decision? Does it affect the reputation of Google Fiber at all? Or does Google Fiber, are they finally focusing on their core competency and nothing else?
Yeah, for me, I thought having read, I kind of keep up on Google Fiber. It seems like they're sort of in decline, just sort of across the board. Like they were hemorrhaging money. They were kind of like which is why they stopped rolling out to all these new neighborhoods. So the thing is, like, so for me, it seems like it looks like they're focusing on. I mean, it just seems like they're getting rid of all of the things that are going to cost them more manpower, more money, more time. You know, and they're just going to, and they've got the, you know, and I think they're probably just going to sit and wait and look for other solutions to get you know.
It's gonna be a bunch of balloons overhead. And
Yeah. I think squirrels. I don't understand why people aren't talking about squirrel
net.
Yeah. You just put little chips
and then let them nuts, and then off they run with the packets.
There you go.
See,
come on, man.
There's
so many squirrels.
It seems kind of short-sighted though, and I think when Alphabet announced that they were turning off or they were canceling some of these rollouts, it was because there were not as many immediate profits. But
yeah.
I'm really surprised that Google would look at the idea of having a nationwide internet connectivity network and say, nah, or rather Alphabet saying, nah, we're actually going to.
I mean, the only reason I could think of is if they smell like just hold off 5 or 10 years, we can have the whole world, and it's like, why wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, they're like we're
gonna a municipality, how quaint.
You know, and it's funny. I think this is like I know that they were saying that it was just prohibitively, like when they were doing the fiber stuff, it was just prohibitively expensive, and then they were looking at other options like maybe beaming it in. You have a central location. You beam it around, and that was one like so things like. But it definitely seemed like at least a couple articles I read while they were making that decision to kind of pull back. They were talking about, okay, we're looking at different ways in which to deliver. We want to keep the idea of fiber going. Want to keep the fast upload and download speeds, but we don't know exactly how we're going to deliver that. And so it just seems like it just seems sad that it just seems sad to me that they can't just go do it because it's amazing. And
I don't know.
Everybody should have it. You know,
it's funny because you read this story as it's sad to you that they're not giving everybody everything, but to me it's like I'm hopeful because they're cutting off the parts of the story that don't matter, so that it encourages the long-term health of the project itself.
I was just saying that it was making these two the very end of the paragraph, that making these two markets the last confirmed commitments to roll out the service.
Anytime it's the last anything.
Yeah. That's just.
All right, well, let's focus on the whole reason we go through these crazy shenanigans so that we know what to watch.
Not like real estate. It's all about location.
We got a brand new Justice League trailer. I like Lustus G. A brand new Justice League trailer. Did you guys watch this one?
I did.
How? Actually, I'm going to hold off and ask Bryce. Sure. How enchanted are you with the new Justice League trailer?
I mean, I already don't love superhero stuff right now. I've already I've been kind of cold on superhero stuff the past year or so. Maybe. I mean, there are some people from some good movies in this trailer.
Can I confess something this opening here? I didn't even watch Batman v Superman, but I'm one of the few people who really dug Man of Steel for what it was. I kept crying because he lost a father 3 times in that movie. He lost his biological dad, his adopted dad, then the hologram of his biological dad. But I loved it. And as a result, I like this. This is actually the most compelling trailer. But the moment where it goes light and cheesy, it does kind of lose me in there, right?
Yeah. Well, for me, some of the special effects look a little. I mean, it's the thing is like I can see that it looks like there's some good moments, right? Like I'm like that's pretty funny and that's all right, and I so desperately want there to be a great DC movie. Like I loved Wonder Woman. I'm so excited to see her back. I'm like, this is great, but I just know. I know DC. I know that they are going to.
You don't trust them?
No. I have no like Wonder Woman was a total anomaly. It was I don't know how that movie got made because DC they just managed to train wreck everything.
And by the way, this is such a role reversal compared to when we were kids. When we were kids, because you and I have talked about this, we were both Marvel kids.
Yeah.
We read the Marvel comic books. And it was soul crushing to see, you know, it's like Batman tearing up the silver screen, Superman tearing up the silver screen.
Yeah.
Marvel could never get a foothold, and now to see those roles reversed is so very, very strange.
Is this Aquaman flying through the clouds?
Yeah.
Well, I
But
mean,
but his whole thing is water.
Well, no, but
well, he can get it. It turns out he can breathe out of water too.
Well, but he's flying.
Well, he's being carried by the Martian Manhunter.
Oh, okay.
And then, or no, I think it was Cyborg. Wasn't it Cyborg?
I don't know.
Maybe it was Mike. I don't know. And then, yeah, it's like so. Yeah, it's just. And then, but the thing is like if the line, hey, what's your power anyway? I'm rich. If that's like it's that's the fundamental flaw with DC. Like the thing is like so they Batman would never ever say that. Not ever. Like Batman, the kind of person he is, would never say that. You know, like the thing is like, and so somebody else would say that for him. The Flash would say, "Oh, that his superpower is he's rich." Like that's the Flash, but Batman would never say that because Batman's way too straight laced.
Do you think that's a direct response to trying to Tony Stark up Bruce Wayne a little bit?
Maybe. And the thing is like, and it's sad because the thing is like, just play Batman as Batman. You know, the thing is that like he's kind of humorless, but except with real grim, dark, like little pithy. Like aside, you know,
sure,
like,
sure.
Oh wait, was that a joke? You know, and the thing is like it breaks my heart.
And this is the sentiment I'm hearing from everybody, keeping it at arm's length, hopeful but cautiously, mainly cautious, a little bit optimistic.
Yeah. The thing is like I mean, there's a chance just because Wonder Woman's in it. There's a chance that I will go see it in the theaters. There's a chance, but that's had that Wonder Woman movie not been so great. And had I not become such a fan of Gal Gadot,
yeah,
you know, Gal Gadot, I think is that how you pronounce her name?
Get it?
Yeah. You know, I wouldn't have any interest in this movie whatsoever. Like they lost me.
Okay, I got another one for you because the second half of Amazon's The Tick is coming to the rescue this February. Did you watch The Tick?
I did. Did you?
No, on Amazon?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's great. It's fun. I mean,
it came out recently, so
yeah, it's fun. It took because there's been so many different iterations of the Tick. My brain kind of like like making the adjustment to the new. But I really love the relationship between Tick and
his sidekick.
Yeah. Why am I blanking on his name?
Sidekick.
No.
Sidekick of the Tick.
It's like Kevin, but it's not Kevin.
Bevin.
Yeah, Bevin. Yes, Nevin.
Arthur.
Arthur. Thank you, Arthur. I don't know why.
Although I'm going to call him Bevin from now on. So, you're such a fan of Bevin's work that you forgot his name.
Yeah, you know, I'm really digging it.
So tell me this. If you're going to rank the three iterations of the Tick, there's the cartoon, which of course is holy and sacred.
Yeah.
There's the Fox show with Patrick Warburton, and then this one. How does this one rank in that pantheon?
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I think it's. I don't know. It's because it's the only. It was
just
your
only
opinion.
half season. Just gut check. Just gut check.
I would say that man. Can I say that?
No, please don't. Well, that's cool. You're good. You're good.
The first trailer for Marvel's Runaways is all about very evil parents and their very upset kids. Bryce, did you watch this?
I didn't, but I'm interested at the idea of a Marvel original coming to Hulu. I remember there was an article over the week about Marvel hedging some of their bets, especially after the not the Path, the other one, The Handmaid's Tale, cleaning up at the Oscars, the Emmys, whatever the award show was recently. So it seems interesting.
Is it possible we're now in a world where Marvel has properties on loan to major broadcast networks, multiple major broadcast networks, Hulu, Netflix. Does Amazon Prime have something in the Marvel universe yet?
Not yet.
Certainly all the movies they're showing up on HBO and whatnot. And in fact, extended cable networks as well. Think about FX with Legion. And you have some of them that are doing them well, some of them doing them less well. I got to tell you, the side effect for me is that I no longer get this immediate knee-jerk gut reaction when I see the Marvel logo anymore. Because there was a time
Oh,
that
yeah,
anything
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
ooh, this is going to be
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
But I don't feel that. Now it's like at a distance skepticism.
Yeah, for me, particularly if it's TV, you know, I definitely kind of go into it with a little bit of a grain of salt, and it gets frustrating. It is very frustrating because they'll have, like with the Netflix, you know, the Marvel shows, they'll do one really amazingly well, Jessica Jones, and then they'll kind of go a little bit astray with like Luke. I love Luke Cage the first half, and then went a little bit astray, and then they get to Iron Fist, and I'm like, wait, what are you guys doing? Yeah,
I will admit, like that was a really weird thing to watch because Daredevil, I think, was just the first season was perfect from beginning to end,
Amen.
right?
Amen. Yes.
You get a little bit of heterogeny on Jessica Jones. When it's good, it's good. When it's not good, it's not so good.
Yeah,
you know, they maybe had 4 more episodes than they needed in there. And I, you know, like we've talked about here on the show, I ended up dropping off during Luke Cage, and just based on reputation, I didn't jump in on Iron Fist. So does that mean that Marvel's not doing the right thing? Are they saturating their brand? Are they reducing the value of their brand by being so expansive?
Yeah.
Or are they upping their chances of you know, because if you want to increase your chances of a home run, you have to increase your at bats.
Yeah, sure. And I think it seems to me like it might be a little bit of both, right? I think that they're trying to tell these enormous stories that are working across, like, you know, multiple platforms and multiple different ideas, like with multiple different characters, and that's just managing that kind of story. Like, I mean, certainly we did it in comics, we can do it, and they've been proving they can do it pretty well. But the thing is that, like, but you know, whoever you hand off, you know, like whatever quarterback you hand the football off to.
That's the flip side. Is that you had no guarantee of quality just because a comic book came from Marvel.
Yes,
and it's like it could be anything from Cloak and Dagger to Power Pack to
I like Cloak and Dagger.
to Secret Wars 2.
All right, yeah,
I love Secret Wars 2. Don't come at me on that.
But it also means that they, by having more slots open, that they can try to tell different stories, right?
Yeah.
If Marvel's only saying, you know, crowning 6 series a year, right, then it has to be very like general and broadly focused. Where if it's all of these shows going on at the same time, they can be very specific and very like Legion is very, I think, very very targeted. Where Daredevil or Jessica Jones are a little more broad.
But does Legion actually take place in the MCU, or is that part of the Fox thing? Because it is part of the
it's part of the Mutants thread. But again, I mean, they've also we have connective tissue between the different elements,
and they definitely do have they do have a hand in the story. Like the Marvel, you know, Marvel hasn't divorced themselves of the Fox properties. It's just that there's not. Yeah, the collusion.
But again, that's how it was in the comic books always, right? It was always jarring to me when it was like G.I. Joe meets the Transformers. So I'm like, well, how can that possibly happen? And then the way it happens is like, oh, hey, we're Transformers. Hey, we're G.I. Joe. Oh, I guess we've been in the same universe the whole time. So anyway.
It actually kind of makes me want more Marvel movies, as crazy as it sounds.
Yeah. Yes.
Because if there were more than 2 a year, they would be really different.
Yeah,
they would continue it wouldn't just be this TikTok thing. It would be like really wild experimental stuff.
I would like very much to see a world where movies took the place of properties that were the graphic novels. Because you remember in the comic books, you would always have your monthly comic books, and there would be some amount of crossover between them. But then occasionally they would do cool team-ups. And we're kind of getting that with Thor Ragnarok, right? Reminding me of like the Thing and the Hulk going on their crazy adventure off to the side. I would love to see that become the new role of the movies with like 4 or 5 of them per year, and then the monthly comics being taken over by the TV shows.
You saw this trailer for Man in the High Castle, right, Brian?
I took a half look at it. I feel very guilty that I have not watched all of Man in the High Castle, and now I think this might have sucked me in because the headline, spoiler, is on Man in the High Castle's new season, the Nazis want to conquer another universe. And the story goes on to talk about how last season they got a peek into, they're aware of other universes. And it's implied from the very first episode. But
it's this universe that they're trying to see.
Yeah. The very first episode, the very first thing is there's a piece of film from a version where the Nazis did not take over America. And it's like that infectious idea and the danger of that infectious idea. So I don't know, maybe if
You
enough
could
people
sell me on a season of Man in the High Castle where they're trying to come to this universe.
Yeah. To mess stuff up, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Particularly because it lines up with some of the stuff that's kind of been happening around the nation.
Also we've got Wolfenstein 2 is about to come out. That is pretty much the realization, even at the same time period, right? Because it's in the 1960s.
Oh yeah.
I could totally get into that. Also, I can get into Stephen King's Castle Rock coming to Hulu, so that we have the first teaser. I did not get a chance to take a look at this.
Do you know Castle Rock?
I do know. So Castle Rock is the new property in which they're going to tell a bunch of Stephen King stories in a connected universe. So, which, as longtime listeners know, this is something that both Tom and I have always loved about the Dark Tower series, is that it was the source of the connective threads between everything, right? It was the Jupiter around which all of his other novels rotated. And once we saw this announced, we sort of were like, oh, so that means they're not betting very hard on the Dark Tower
series.
Oh, yeah.
Correct. And so if this gives me even a pale echo of the things I loved about Dark Tower's Stephen King cinematic universe, then I'm okay with it.
It kind of to me smacks a little bit of like the Stephen
Friday
King,
the 13th, the series.
What was that? The Stephen King, or not the Steven Spielberg show? It was
Amazing Stories. Yeah. Amazing Stories, what was the one? Tales from the Dark Side.
Yeah. So that's
The Outer Limits.
Yeah, and it's funny because the thing is like, so, and it really just depends on like if they're good stories, and he's definitely got a ton of great stories. So it's just if they're good stories that translate and they're executed well, then it's got a shot. Like
Am I a bad person for just assuming it won't be as good as I want it to be because it's on Hulu? I guess that stigma is broken now because Handmaid's Tale has done so well.
Well, I think Handmaid's Tale is definitely peak Hulu so far, but I think that some of their other series that we've recommended on the show are still really good. Like Difficult People is back, and that's fantastic. 11/22/63 is all right. The Path, I think, is really great. They just got a new season of that cult show. So I don't know. Have you checked out any other original series other than 11/22?
I invested very heavily in 11/22/63. All the other stuff has been cable imports that I haven't that I've picked up and then found something else shiny.
I think you should try one of those other shows. I think you might like. I think you would like The Path, and I think you might like Difficult People. And I think right now those are their other heavy hitters.
Yeah.
What's the Path premise?
It's a guy's in a cult. Everything's hunky-dory. Begins his hero journey when he starts to doubt the cult. He's a little bit trapped in the cult.
And his wife is leader in the cult.
Oh, great.
And so
also, it's Aaron Paul. From Breaking Bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
It's really good.
Awesome.
And it's really an interesting sort of cult tale about that.
Huh.
So let's
it could be a life lesson for all of us.
People who want to get out of Diamond Club. It's a how-to guide. I'm watching everything now. I can't stop. Meanwhile, let's talk a bit about what we're watching. Bryce, what are you up to these days?
What have I been watching? I tried to watch a little bit of this Netflix original called Gypsy. I don't know if you guys have seen this in your recommended feed or not. It's all right. I only watched a few episodes before I fell out of love with it. It's about a psychiatrist who ends up using the information from her therapy sessions to try to lead a more exciting life. And it's kind of creepy.
She's taking all the disastrous tales and using them as a how-to.
Yeah. Sure.
I also spent a lot of time last night and today watching. Catching up on, just like watching Aqua Teen Hunger Force on Hulu.
Man, I bet that has some replay value.
Oh, for sure. And I think Hulu's finally fixed like their listings for Aqua Teen, because Aqua Teen at the end kept changing the name of the show.
Yeah.
And so it used to be that those were listed as different shows in Hulu, and one of those was missing for a while. And so now they're all listed there under Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Oh, cool.
That's what I've been watching. Mike, what have you been watching lately?
I've been kind of schizophrenic lately. I've been bouncing between shows, but I'm rewatching the Stranger Things in preparation for the new series. I've been rewatching The Wire, which is like the 5th time I've watched the entire series.
It's literally life changing.
It is.
I suspect that The Wire is much like The Big Lebowski. That once you cease to care about the plot elements, The Big Lebowski gets better because you're just soaking in the characters and the lessons and so on.
And it is, and the thing is just it's like in every upon every sort of reviewing, I'm like, oh yeah, that's awesome, this character and this little I just like everybody has their own awesome character trajectory, and it's just fun to just sit to visit. It's like 40 or 50 friends, and just let's see what they're and they all have their awesome, very sometimes grizzly tales.
I would imagine there are those distracting moments when somebody's just like, I'm going to go to college. You're like, no, sweetheart, you're going to die. I've already seen this.
But yeah, so that I've been bouncing between that and then watching a bunch of movies just
like what?
Well,
like newer stuff,
I just caught Spider-Man: Homecoming again.
So good.
Which I love that we finally have a Spider-Man who is young and youthful and like that. That's and super talky. Like that's the thing. Spider-Man is always like he just plaver.
Yeah.
And we didn't have anybody that had that kind of like runaway mouth. And I'm like, this is my Spider-Man. So that's been really stoked with that. And then I also just watched Wonder Woman again. And I was like, I was a little bit frustrated that Ares ended up becoming a cardboard villain. I thought it'd be so great if he would have made a good case.
If he was if
he just made a case for look, I am the guy. The thing is
I'm a fundamental force. I am required for the planet to exist. And then seduce you to that point.
And that's exactly. And look at all of the good that comes from war. Look at all of and makes this great case where you put Wonder Woman up against that, and she's like. How do I take my?
She's like, oh my god, chaos is a ladder.
Yeah. And so that was my frustration with the movie. That was my only one. I really thought it was great, but it was awesome. They managed to do such cool little nuanced I'm a dark man. I want an actor, but my skin's the wrong color. They have these really cool social commentary things. It was 2 lines, and I'm like, that's amazing.
And I didn't feel like it was too heavy-handed. I thought it was fine for what it was.
Just awesome.
So early this week, I continued to plow through the Ken Burns, the Vietnam War documentary, but then they changed it to where you had to be a pledge. And man, something about that paywall. I think they absolutely deserve some amount of money from me.
Yeah.
But I don't want to sign up for another thing, so I didn't do it. And then I found out over the weekend that they was free again, but I had already missed it. And so I did watch Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later on in spoiler in time. Or I guess
we'll talk about that next week with Tom.
Yeah, we'll wait for Tom on that one. And then the other thing is I stumbled across a documentary. It's actually on YouTube, so it's totally free. It was from 2003 called Born Rich, and it's from one of the heirs of the Johnson & Johnson fortune, who I guess... It's very strange eavesdropping into other people's lifestyles because I guess he's doing it because he feels guilty that he is rich and will never want for anything. So he talked a bunch of his friends into speaking candidly, and after getting the footage, a bunch of them were their parents said, no, we're going to sue to stop this, and you're not going to casually talk about money. Apparently it's so gauche among the super rich to talk about money, and so instead you pretend that fencing is important or equestrian stuff is important. It is really and Ivanka Trump shows up in there as one of the
first lady.
She's
apparently
the
she's
other
first
lady.
Wait, Ivanka or Ivana?
Wait, Ivanka is
Ivanka
the
is the
daughter.
daughter.
Yeah, it's the daughter.
It's
the daughter.
Okay. I saw Ivana. Ivana is the.
Well, I mean, but then again, that's another accusation is that Ivanka's doing all the first lady work.
Anyway.
At any rate, it's a fascinating, just gawky look into the lifestyle of the super rich, and some of them don't acquit themselves too well. So if you want to see spoiled rich kids looking real spoiled and real rich. It's worth it's about an hour long. I mean, it's dated. It's 4:3. You could tell it was all shot on digital video and stuff. But I mean, it's a 15-year-old thing. Worth taking a look at.
Cool. Awesome.
I got an on the lookout pick for you guys.
Yes.
I talked about this on Weird Things last week, but someone in the Cordkillers email reminded me I never talked about this, and now that it's in season, I think it's the perfect time to let everybody know about The Good Place. I know I've told you a little bit about it, Brian. Mike, have you ever heard of The Good Place?
Not at all.
All I've heard is your boundless joy for this show.
It's so good. So this is from the creator of Parks and Rec and Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Michael Schur, I believe. It stars Kristen Bell and Ted Danson, and it's this great premise where Kristen Bell wakes up and she finds out that she died and that she's in the good place, which is like a heaven allegory, but heaven is... They do this fun thing of like, oh, everyone's a little bit right, but one guy got really stoned and figured it all out. And so she's in this good place, and she meets her soulmate and all of this stuff. And then she meets her soulmate and says, "Hey, you would always stick by me, right, soulmate?" And then confesses that, oh, she's definitely not the person that they think she is. That she's actually a really bad, pretty selfish jerk of a person. And all of the it's a really, especially the first season, is a really fantastic sort of mystery of like, what is she doing here in the good place,
if she's not good, and how does she act such that she becomes a good enough person to stay. And the first season is really fantastic, and season 2 just started airing, and season 2 it's the same characters, but it's a little tweaked, the formula, because of the great way that season 1 ends. But you should go really check it out. It's on Netflix now. The season 1 is on Netflix. Season 2 is airing on Hulu now, week over week, and it's all really great. It's
awesome.
It's really fantastic. And actually, the gentleman who made the opening video that we had today is a writer on The Good Place.
Oh, right on. Cool.
And it's great. It's really good. Check out The Good Place. Please, please, please.
Yeah, you got it, man.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, let's take a look at the front line.
Oh, okay. We're skipping like 2 lines in the document. If
Oh,
you
are
got
we?
something you want to send it to cordkillers@gmail.com.
Oh, sorry. You know what? Actually, that's a good point. Let's actually take a moment. And normally this is the moment when we talk about our side projects. But as Tom is not here, and it's normally Tom's week, Mike, you want to tell anyone about any products or services that you have?
I mean, projects and services. Yeah, I've got a ton of stuff. I just started doing a Dungeons and Dragons campaign that your brother's been joining us in.
Yeah,
and it's been tons of fun. And so if anybody's interested in catching MikeTV running, I basically have.
Are you DMing?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
so I'm DMing.
Are you guys live streaming it or something?
Yeah. And so we're streaming it on Twitch. Yeah, so we're live streaming it on Twitch, and so that's every Wednesday night from like 6 to 10. And it's been ridiculous. There have been moments where I was laughing so hard that I was just like tears, I'm like wiping away tears, like this is ridiculous. So it's been a ton of fun, and it's literally we're just doing like a classic, like we're heading to the dungeon crawl, like it's just we're doing like level 1 and then just going from there. But the story is pretty epic. So if we keep getting into it, it's going to be world shattering. So, but
that's great.
Yeah. So that's been fun.
And that's all at twitch.tv/MikeTV Live, right?
Yeah. That's
Awesome.
Exactly it.
Now, can we go to the front line?
We can.
Here's what's new to watch.
Curse you, IS!
Get out of here.
Hulu announced Monday it's ordering 4 new original eSports series from ESL. Shows include a debate show called Player vs. Player, a documentary series following the Team Immortals called Boot Camp, a chat show called Defining Moments, and recap show called ESL Replay. Man, all of this feels strange and new because it's targeted at a younger demographic, but this will feel as normal as ESPN and Monday Night Football in another 20 years. I absolutely guarantee it. So I say smart move on their part.
Did they talk? I'm pulling up the article now. Did they say more what this debate show is?
I would imagine it's going to be like any of the sports debate shows, where it's just like, hey man, is it true that the so and so nerf has ruined the game of bleep blop?
Yeah. I guess there is. I was thinking about like, is it about like hot topics in all of gaming? Because there are certainly plenty, but that's also not.
My guess is much like ESPN has. There was a time that ESPN was trying to cover all sports of everything, and then they realized no, it turns out there's only 4 sports people care about, right? So they said everything is those
biking and the
correct. Everything is those 4 sports, and every story you want to tell exists within those 4 sports, whether they're in season or not.
Yeah.
And so that became their new thing, is they were constantly pitching long-term dramas. And nowadays we're seeing that with the whole kneeling thing in the NFL. That's a long-running soap opera drama that a lot of people want. My guess is that they're going to construct similar narratives, maybe with a first-person shooter kind of game, a MOBA type game,
I don't know, Hearthstone, please.
Yeah.
And there are certainly plenty of characters in the esports world that I'm sure will be newsworthy.
Yeah. And for the record, yeah, I do think the so-and-so nerf has ruined the game of Bleep Blop. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, and it's it's crazy to me that it took this long for this to happen. The thing is, like, it's I mean you've got things like Twitch, you've got things like you've got games that sell millions of copies. It's like really like these are. This has been an untapped market for for a good 5 or 6 years. But
think about it. It just was a case where you had to wait for the kids to age out to a place where they could spend money.
Yeah.
Everybody watching football is doing it largely because they remember playing football with their dad or brother when they were kids, and that's the game, that's the cultural touchstone. And we're going to see that same thing happen with esports games.
You're right.
And fighting games and all that stuff as well. Yeah.
So we were the first adopters. We were that's crazy.
We're pioneers. We're pretty much legends.
Yeah,
we're very great.
Speaking at a press event during New York Comic-Con, David Cantor, executive producer of Amazon's coming Philip K. Dick's Electric Dreams anthology, said that the show, if given enough seasons, could possibly retell the same stories from different writers. Writer and executive producer Ronald D. Moore said in a statement that he wrote for, that a treatment that he wrote for an episode based on Philip K. Dick's exhibit piece was, quote, so far removed from the original source material that if another writer came in and redid the exact same piece, it would bear no resemblance to what I did. I think this is really interesting in that, Philip K. Dick stories are already, they're already short, and they usually have, a good punch and a good, message.
And we're almost out of them that haven't already been developed into properties.
Why not do the same one over and over and over again? That's perfect.
I mean, it makes sense. But if they're going to do as an anthology, I mean, keep in mind, Blade Runner is so far divorced from Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep that and we just saw another story in the Blade Runner universe. I could see unlimited stories in the Blade Runner universe.
Sure.
That'd be just fine.
I would love a Blade Runner story that did all of the things that were not in the movie that were in the novel.
Yeah, right?
Just those subplots. And I think you could tell an anthology episode or two, even.
Meanwhile, Netflix has a brand new original. It's a personal kind of superhero story called Raising Dion. They released a little, what is it, 7-minute, 10-minute vignette of, it looks like a bunch of found footage, and it's about what happens when a mom has to raise a god. Basically a kid who can levitate stuff, can teleport, turn invisible, and all this stuff, all the superhero stuff you see, but this is somebody who has to set boundaries and set expectations and answer awkward questions like, well, how come my poop isn't invisible? And she handles it just like a mom. But of course, along with that comes making sure to protect your son from the likes of, the Men in Black. And so you see her brandishing a weapon at one point. This seems like it could be a really charming aspect to this whole thing.
This looks amazing.
There's definitely one scene where from the other room you hear her say, like, you're not getting naked in there, are you? Because he's wanting to turn invisible and doesn't want his clothes hanging around.
This is great. Is there a release date for this yet?
I did not see one on there, but the announcement and the trailer is out, so I got to imagine it's not too far off. Keep an eye out for Raising Dion.
Because for me, my appetite for superhero stuff I spent so long without it. Like I could still just keep feasting and yay, But I really wonder, at what point do I hit my limit? The thing is, I have no idea.
If you're anything like the rest of human civilization, the answer is never.
Never. Yeah.
Think about the appetite for Hercules stories for generations and generations. Making all those up.
Oh wow! So this video clip that we've been showing is a short film. The Netflix bought the rights based on this short film. This is not a Netflix released promotional material. That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, similar to
Project
Alive in Joburg, which led to District 9, that kind of thing.
And finally, CBS will be streaming 9 Star Trek episodes this chapter, this year. They're going to move one of the 7 episodes that would air in January to the first half of this season that is ending the end of this year. They're calling these 2 separate chapters, but this is a typical season holiday break. So the 9th and final episode of this season's first chapter will be Sunday, November 12th.
Did you dive in on the new Discovery?
No. Yeah. The thing is, I mean, I can't. I don't have any interest. I think it's
Oh,
we're not a.
I know. I'm a big Star Trek fan. I'm a big Star Trek fan. And there are. The thing is, like, I'm just kind of afraid. I'm fairly certain it's terrible, or like that's just my, and that's just like,
I haven't seen it, but I'm fairly certain it's terrible.
What I mean is I have a tendency to go in with an extra critical eye, and then I just tear it apart, and I don't like it for a while, and then I come back, and after I hear from people like, oh, it was really good, I like this, I like this about it, then I go back in and I put my feet in the water, like, oh, this is not as cold as I thought it was.
I mean, but thankfully, because it will be, hopefully because all of it will be streaming on All Access or whatever.
Yeah.
When it all comes out, you will at least be able to tell from critical reception whether it.
I mean, I
will be
think
good or
that's
not.
that's the one flaw in their plan for the marketing is that they've created a situation where the smart gameplay is to sit and wait. Yeah.
And we have a story. We have a little bit of an email about this coming up, but I think the story is especially weird because this is still not a television show, but they are treating its schedule like a television show. They are moving an episode from 2018 into 2017, and there's still be a holiday break. And I don't get why. Beatmaster makes the same point. Season breaks in the age of binging, another continuity error from Star Trek Discovery. But it doesn't make any sense that they would do this unless it's behind schedule.
Or it could also be international deals. Like the thing is like they might be tied into certain release, like
airing it in other countries.
Like airing it, like having deals where they've got like they have to release they've got a deal with Canada and it airs in Canada in pattern. On networks, and so therefore they can't have it accessible here.
But
the thing is, there's sometimes those
if I was
going to
speculate wildly, I would say it probably has more to do with the fact that CBS All Access is meant to be CBS yet another version of it. Yeah. Because there are commercials on there are commercial breaks, and there are
that's great. I love paying
content.
But the last episode will be in the middle of November, which means presumably there would be no episodes for 6+ weeks, until it comes back in 2018. And CBS would ask people to pay for that month where
that does make it a little bit weird when it's just like, keep paying us. We'll be back.
Because all the other great content.
I do get Mike's point. If it's airing on TV in other countries, then it makes sense that it would need to, but I don't know that it's airing terrestrially anywhere. Like, if it's all, because in Canada, right, it's going to be on Netflix week over week, if I remember right, which means that there shouldn't be any reason they couldn't be publishing it week over week.
Well, what I'm saying is, but they might have deals with Channel 4 in the UK and Canal Plus in France and some of these deals because now it's just like,
but we don't
all that kind of stuff is always like there's always weird arcane reasons like for why people are like why are you doing this? It turns out that it's just some international deal that's kind of like throwing.
RoboJeff is correcting me that it's not in Netflix. Well, if you're in an international country and it airing on a terrestrial TV station, let us know. Cordkillers@gmail.com.
Meanwhile, we'll jump in on some dispatches from the front. Dave in Waco writes us saying, hey guys, just want to let you know that as an old guy, I enjoyed Blade Runner 2049, but apparently it's a failure because only old guys like it. On a related note, he's not wrong. It did fall significantly short of its expected financial
Is that
targets.
because of the old guys?
Yes, it's because we're all old and there's not enough of us. You'll be one of us soon enough. On a related note, why do the studios fail to promote the sequels that seem to be so endemic these days by pushing the previous films in a series on the streaming platforms? Blade Runner is a great example since, though I find it hard to imagine, so many have never seen the first film. Another example is the Kingsman sequel. I saw the previews for the Golden Circle several months ago and had never heard of the original. I had to use my Netflix DVD subscription to get a chance to see it. Without a TV or cable, I can't see whether I'd want to spend money on seeing either show, but without seeing them, I won't spend the money to buy them on Amazon. Shouldn't there be a better way, or should I just wait until they show up on Prime or Netflix? Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Dave. The answer, man,
Sequels are hard to sell. If someone doesn't like the first movie, they're not going to go watch the second.
Or doesn't know it. I mean, that's the whole reason sequels are such a safe bet all the time, is because they know
they've got a built-in
right.
audience.
They can reasonably expect on it.
And
so
for
so
Blade
as a
Runner,
result, they don't really care if you haven't seen the first one. You're not the reason that they're making the second one. They're making the second one for people who watched the first one.
And Blade Runner is a weird thing because the original Blade Runner did not make a lot of money. It was a cult film after its release.
It was kind of a box office flop financially.
And it's a sci-fi movie. What's the track record for sci-fi the past year or 2 years? It's mixed. It's a mixed bag for sci-fi.
Yeah, fair enough.
Let's see here. What's his name? Person's name?
Norman.
Norman says, "Hey everybody, I signed up for a movie pass when they dropped the price to $10 a month and loved it initially. I could use their e-ticket feature at my local theater, meaning I could pick my seat and buy the ticket from my house without ever having to use the physical card that they shipped to me. It was great, and I've seen more movies in the past 3 weeks than I did in the last 3 months until something changed. Apparently, they lost a deal with Goodrich Theaters that allowed e-tickets, and now every theater in my area requires me to buy the ticket within 100 yards of the theater. The love is now gone. I like picking my seat and planning ahead of time, and I'm willing to go to the theater less to get the best experience, i.e. picking my seat. For big movies, then get some second-class access to the smaller films while they're in theaters. So I canceled my membership, which you can do directly from the app, so no complaints there. But it's just not worth it, even at $10 a month. I might start it back up again if they get the e-ticket feature back. But until then, I'm out. Thank you, and Tom. Thought you and Tom would like the input. Thanks for the show. Sincerely, Norman. Thank you for your input, Norman. I got Movie Pass a few weeks ago, and I've been loving it. I'm incredibly close to a theater that is not very busy, so I get to go see a lot of movies because I have a very weird schedule. So I go see daytime. I went and saw Blade Runner in the middle of the day on Friday.
Awesome.
For free, and I got in because fun tip you can do, because the Alamo here in Austin does have e-ticketing, right? You can reserve a seat. Here's what you do, right? You have to, when you activate your card, it only has money for about 30 minutes. So what I do is before I head out to go to the movie theater, I actually go into Alamo and try to buy a ticket, and I can see how many seats are left.
Oh, yeah.
And if there are plenty of seats left, I know I can just walk in and pick a seat anyway. But I do get his point of like wanting to pick a good seat and be not near people, or okay, at this time I've got this movie.
I mean, I think
that's a valuable feature, but I see if you got used to it.
That's the core thing, is what they're selling. The whole reason MoviePass exists is because they're trying to liquidate unused inventory, which is inherently unpredictable, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't see any way for you to get the stability of picking your seat and knowing where you're going ahead of time without I don't see.
I mean, you might be
able
to all up Rice game it on occasion, but it definitely
on a long term thing. I can't see.
And you know what? For me, I've gone and seen 4 or 5 movies now with it, and I'm still going and buying popcorn and soda, so it's not like I'm not spending $15 on it, but. Like, that is still $10 or $11 that I save not buying the actual ticket, and I'm sure the theaters love that.
I really wonder how that actually works out. Works out in terms of the finance, because like the way that there's a sliding scale. If a brand new movie, a brand new movie comes out, the Blade Runner, the studio Sony is making 90 cents on every dollar,
right?
And then that starts, from a ticket, so things like, so I really wonder how that works.
I mean, they still get the full ticket price.
Yeah.
Movie Pass is taking a loss and buying
but
the full price.
Movie Pass is straight up gambling, right? They're saying, everybody put your money in a pile.
Okay.
Some of you guys are going to come out ahead. Some of you are going to come out behind.
I see. Okay.
We're going to keep you.
That's really curious.
That makes more common sense when it used to cost $35 a month. Then you had a contract.
But now we're at this insane $10 for all-you-can-eat buffet.
But here's the thing.
Crazy.
Like, now that I've been using it, I think I would pay $35 a month.
Yeah.
I've watched more than enough movies to make it worth my time. And I think if this is popular enough, the chains, especially AMC, which has been very vocal about not liking it, will say, hey, we're getting people who are coming in and paying for concessions. And I think we can begrudgingly support this, even though they beat us to the punch of making a loyalty or a subscription service.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Hey, Bryce, have we talked about this Filmstruck service before?
No, I think Tom is aware of it. Filmstruck.
Yeah, let's hold this email for next week then.
You know what? This is where the Criterion Collection went, because it used to be on Hulu. And now all of those movies are here on Filmstruck.
Well, here, James writes, hey, I have no idea whether or not anyone else has been similarly affected. A Google search turned up nothing, but while looking over my credit card, I noticed that I had been charged 3 times in September for Filmstruck.
What?
Twice on the usual billing day, and then once again the following day. I used that the chat option from the Filmstruck help page, and they immediately resolved the issue, refunded 2 of the charges. I don't always go over my monthly transactions. I very easily could have missed this, so I was thinking there's probably a lot of other subscribers who, if this isn't just something that happened just to me, might never know they'd been overcharged. So there's a little bit of a PSA if you guys are digging Filmstruck.
Yeah, I see. I wonder if you don't already, see if you can get email alerts when you get charged, because I know every month all of my things go off. Here's your Hulu receipt, and here's your Google Fiber receipt and stuff. Try to see if you can.
Could you forward those to me, Bryce?
All right, we have one last email here from Scott Duncan. He writes, one aspect of the CBS All Access that I think is missed most often in discussions is the inclusion of the Big Brother live feeds. For years, CBS has been selling access to the feeds and have a faithful audience for them. 1 year ago, they ran a special season of Big Brother Over the Top, which was only available on CBS All Access. So for those customers, everything else is a value add. Still debating on if it's worth it to watch the new Star Trek. I forgot about those live feeds, but they've had those for a long time. For Big Brother, where you can just see all the cameras in real time throughout the house. I think Big Brother's still going, and it's still a big show. So it's a feature we never thought about.
That's crazy. So these people are pretty well behaved. If they're,
it's a reality show, right?
Yeah.
So it's sculpted in a way, but also the idea is that they're isolated in a house. So how much influence is there every week?
Yeah. Huh.
By the way, random plug for the Onion's Sex House. That was that was so amazing.
It's on YouTube. Check out.
Take a look at it. It's not what you think it is. It starts off looking like what you think it is. Turns out very much not to be. It's so great. Hey, thank you so much, Michael Television, for joining us. Twitch.tv/MikeTV Live.
Yep, that's me. I'm there all the time.
Thank you so much for joining us. Bryce, you got anything you want to plug?
No, just follow me on Twitter at Brycas, BRYCS.
Don't forget that you guys can write us at cordkillers@gmail.com. We're live at the times that we're live every week. That's a thing that Tom says every week.
We're at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific at diamondclub.tv and twitch.tv/Night Attack.
A little bit of housekeeping. We are not going to be doing a spoiler in time this week, partly because Tom's not here, but also because none of us have seen the same set of movies. The only one we could talk about is Blade Runner, and I'd rather save that for Tom.
Yeah.
So we're saving ourselves for marriage. Thank you very much.
But if you would like to hear, we did do a long Blade Runner discussion on After Things.
Yes.
So if you're interested in that, check out weirdthings.com. That's Brian and Andrew Main and Justin Robert Young.
Yep. In the meantime, we love you guys. We'll cut your cords later. Hey guys, Tom and Brian here. We just wanted to say thank you to all of our $5 patrons who keep us loud, live, and independent. You guys make Cordkillers the production that it is.
Your name appears in the video credits and appears in our hearts. And if you'd like to become one of them or see who they are, you can go to patreon.com/Cordkillers.
You'll need to do more than just go there, though. You'll have to sign up and, pledge an amount. But
unless you just want to see who they are.
Well, I mean, you could gawk. That's a little creepy, isn't it?
If you want to be a gawker,
let's go.
It's up to you.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.